Excellent stuff, and more comic cuts next week. Well, I ask you, Eden Kane, what's he been up to? That pop star of the 60s who brought us hits like Boys Cry, Get Lost, Forget Me Not, and of course, who could forget this one?
You never seem to want my romancing. Well, the only time you hold me is when we're dancing. I don't know why I love you like I do. Oh, I don't know why, but I do. Well, I'm gonna hug you and I'll kiss you. What more do you want me to do? I don't know why I love you, but I do. Yes, I'm gonna hug you, baby, and I'll kiss you. What more do you want me to do? I don't know why I love you, but I do.
Yes, let me tell you, he is here, and I reckon he looks better now than he did then. Eden Kane. We kind of just threw that one on you a little bit there, didn't we?
Yes, you certainly did, yes.
What did you think when you saw that?
I'd like to leave now. It's always strange. I don't like watching myself on television.
Yeah.
And it's a scary proposition for me.
Oh. Well, you've been around quite a while. Now, when you started off, you weren't Eden Kane. You were one of the Sarsted brothers, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Peter and Robin?
I was Richard Sarsted, and of course my brothers are Peter, Robin, and I have a sister, Lorraine, too. Oh. But then when I entered this talent contest, which I happened to win, blah, 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 found two managers, and they said, we're going to change your name. We can't have Richard Sarsted. It just wouldn't work, you know, so.
Eden Kane?
Eden Kane came along. Yes.
Is this the talent competition that was the hot chocolate one?
That's right. Cadbury's were trying to promote drinking chocolate at the time. And so they said, what we need is, we need someone who's going to go around the coffee bars and stuff and sing about drinking chocolate. So they called this guy the Chocolate Time Troubadour, and I said, I'd love to be the Chocolate Time Troubadour.
With sincerity.
Yeah, this is my dream. So that's what happened.
You should have got out more in those days, shouldn't you? Yeah, that is my dream.
Yes, I know, really.
It was like an early milk tray man sort of thing. Which sort of just, you know...
No, well, it was, you know, the drinking version.
The drinking version.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, an amazing career. What was it like in those days? Because also you were known as the Hula Gully man.
Well, the Hully Gully was a dance that was from the States. It's like all those, the frug and the monkey and all that kind of stuff. You know?
Anyone remember it?
Yeah. You do? Would you show me how to do it? I'm supposed to be the Hully Gully. I don't know what it... It was some sort of weird, you know, thing. I mean, we won't go into that.
But I mean, touring then and now, because you're on tour at the moment.
That's right.
The differences must be enormous.
Well, to begin with, like last year we did the Albert Hall, for instance, you know, and I had never done the Albert Hall in the early days, because in the 60s the gigs weren't there at the time. You know, everything was on a much smaller scale. And now, of course, we're doing like 61 dates with Marty Wilde and Joe Brown, John Layton and the Vernon's Girls, and it's just, we're having a great time because we're all friends, you know, and we're all pros, and it's great.
Is it much easier now?
It's much easier now, it is, because in those days there were a lot of egos involved and a lot of, you know, who's going to do this and who's going to do that, and who's going to sing Hound Dog, you know.
And with all due respect, not as many screaming fans now, I'd imagine.
No, they don't scream anymore. But, well, you know, sometimes you get the odd squeal.
Really?
When John Layton takes his shirt off, yeah.
Ooh. That excited the audience no end there, didn't it?
You got to check these pecs out.
I've got to ask you as well, Star Trek, you got the jacket on, and you appear from time to time in various episodes.
I have been known to, yes. In fact, I've worked on the show, actually, on the production side.
Yeah.
And I'm by no means in, you know, one of the leading lights. Anybody who's a Trekkie, which I happen to be,
yeah.
I started working on The Next Generation, and I did some standing-in work. And I was on camera, you know, quite a bit here and there. did a few little bits and pieces, and it was just great fun. And now I'm working on the new series, which is called Star Trek Voyager, and that's great. Now we have a female captain.
Yeah.
You know, before it was Patrick Stewart, you know, the ball captain. Great actor, by the way, and so it's still a lot of fun to work on the show.
And is LA home for you now, then?
I live in Los Angeles, yes.
So why did you move there?
Well, it was a little warmer.
You can see it in a day like this.
No, well, the thing, yeah, I know, God. Well, what happened was I was in Australia, you know, basically. I moved to Australia for a couple of years. I just wanted to check things out. This was when the Beatles came along, and the groups kind of took over the whole scene. And, you know, solo singers were sort of, you know, a little bit on the run. You know. And I really hate those Beatles, you know. No, I'm kidding. No, they. So that's what happened. So then I had an offer from Australia, and they said, "Come along to Australia, and we've got, you know, get some work." And so I did that. On my way back from Australia, I stopped in Los Angeles, and I met a young lady who I had known before, and after about 3 or 4 weeks of begging, I decided to marry her, you know. But she won't tell you that story. She'll say, I did the begging, but no.
I think you got away with that one in just a no.
Close.
When you look back, would you have changed anything at all?
You can't really.
Yeah.
I don't think you can change much. You know, I don't think about the past. You are your past, but you are also your future and your present. So I don't think about the past. I mean, I'm very happy to have experienced what I have experienced, and you know, it's great.
And still be around rocking and rolling as well.
I'm still walking around, which is great. You know?
And a new CD out as well.
New CD,
Get
yes.
that
I
plug
thought
in.
you'd never mention that.
Get that plug in.
Yes, it's just, it's called All the Hits Plus More, and it's basically has, you know, the hits plus I've done a couple of Elvis tunes that I really like, and there's a few of the songs that I've actually written on it, and also one of my favorite songs, which I wish I'd recorded back then, was Diana, which I think is a great old rocker.
Well, it sounds a little bit of a smooth link now if I say the guitar is there. Bit of Diana?
Bit of Diana.
Yes, let's hear it for Eden Kane.
I'll tell you what we're going to have to...
You want them to scream or anything like that?
I tell you what, on the last line, you know, come in on the last line, okay? But the thing is, I'm going to have to start at the bridge because we don't have much time.
Okay.
So.
Oh, my darling, oh, my lover, tell me that there is no other. I love you with all of my heart. Oh, 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 only you can take my heart. Only you can tear it apart. When you hold me in your loving arms, I can feel you giving all your charms. Hold me, darling, hold me tight. Squeeze me, baby, with all your might. Oh, please stay by me.
Who said Camilla?
Oh! Eden Kane! Thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Good luck with the CD, good luck with the rest of the
Thank
tour
you.
as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, from one Los Angeles resident to another. But before I could meet a certain Hollywood legend, I just had to get into the swim of things. Splash. Okay, swimming may not be my strong point, but what I need to find here in Hollywood is a great swimmer, someone who can teach me. And I know just the woman who can. In her movies, she swam over 1,000 miles. Esther Williams. Born in Los Angeles in 1923, Esther learned to swim at the age of 8, and by 15 was an all-round American swimming champion. But how did she become a movie star?
Billy Rose actually invented me because he invented swimming to music with what he called his aquacades. Actually, it was the forerunner of my movies because the big number that I did in Bathing Beauty, nobody knew how to do a swimming number in the movies. So they got John Murray Anderson, who was the choreographer from the Aquacade, and they said, how do you do what you do? And he said, first of all, you're going to need a lot of water. And they said, okay, we've got a big hole in the floor at stage 30, and we use it for the old man in the sea, for Spencer Tracy to go out and catch fish, and every time they needed a body of water. And he said, how deep is it? And I said, it's 20 feet deep. And they said, it's 90 by 90, and it has a hydraulic lift in the center. And he said, that's where Esther Williams will rise up out of the sea. And they made it just like Aphrodite, and he knew just how to present me.
And who'd spotted you in the Aquacade then?
Jack Cummings, L.B. Mayer's nephew, had come up to San Francisco, and they called me and they said, come out and we want to talk to you about being in the movies. I said, you people, I don't know. I wasn't crazy about the Aquacade, and I'm probably not going to like MGM either. They called me for 1 solid year, and I found out something really valuable for show business. When you say no, they really have to have you.
After finally agreeing to meet infamous studio head Louis B. Mayer, Esther was given a 1-year contract with MGM. This was to be the start of a celebrated movie career spanning over 20 years of the golden age of Hollywood and bringing us movies such as $1 Million Mermaid and Dangerous When Wet. Now look at this. This is just amazing. This was your dad's idea then?
Yes. Daddy figured that his daughter maybe might do something in the world, and he should save it for posterity.
There's some missing here.
Yes. Well, when I married Fernando Lamas, he went through all my filing cabinets, and he threw away all the pictures of my leading men, the production stills. I came home one day and found a funeral pyre of everybody I'd ever known that was male. And I said, why did you do that? And it wasn't till much later that I found out he'd gone through the scrapbook. Oh. And this, I think, was a boy that I went with when I was on the swimming team. And this one was one over here that we both won a cup, and we had our picture taken together. I said, how insecure of you, dear, that you think you have to destroy my past as if these people are going to be exhumed in some way and come back into my life. He said, I don't want you remembering them.
Come on, you've got to tell me about the screen test, though, with Clark Gable. Because I've heard so many stories that he had bad breath and, you know, Vivian Leigh almost didn't kiss him. And
wooden teeth like George Washington. Well, I've never told anybody.
Right, but it's just you and
just
me.
You.
Okay.
Like kissing my uncle, because I was only 18, and I think he was a lot more than that. This was a fun story, because what happened is I wasn't supposed to do my screen test with him. There was an actor by the name of Danny Daly, and Danny and I had rehearsed this scene, and I was all set to do it with him, but all of a sudden Clark Gable came in. And the one he came in with to the set was my favorite actress, Carole Lombard. That wonderful, beautiful blonde. And Gable wasn't supposed to do that screen test. And I couldn't figure out why he did it. And then I found out about their pranks they played on each other. After Gable and Lombard left that set, and I heard him say to her, well, I told you I was going to kiss me a mermaid today. And she said, and you did, dear, and you did.
You were surrounded by people then who went on to become Hollywood legends. So were you all pals, and did you all go out together and things like that at MGM?
the only way I ever got to know any of those wonderful people was secretly. I would steal into the set when Ingrid Bergman was doing Gaslight, and I'd sit in a corner in the dark and watch her. And I watched Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn and that incredible banter. And I learned timing, and I learned dignity. I learned the way they carried themselves. Those were my drama coaches.
I love it. All the headlines. Swim star Esther made big Hollywood splash. You must have got really fed up seeing things like that. Swimming to fame, big splash.
You know, Las Vegas has got a show called Splash, and somehow I feel every time I go to Vegas I should be in it, because the word splash was like synonymous with me.
Waterworld. You should have been in Waterworld, the movie.
I know. It's funny. Rex Reed, the critic in New York, I think the New York Post, he said, what maniac made a picture called Waterworld and spent $200 million on it and didn't star Esther Williams?
What is so incredible for me is that you seem so worldly wise, and yet you're only, what, 18?
L.B. Mayer yelled at everybody. He had this yelling thing. He was an immigrant. His father had pushed a junk cart with scrap metal in Hester Street in the ghetto in New York. And he was not going to be shouted down by anybody after that beginning. And one day he was yelling at me. I said, Mr. Mayor, don't yell at me anymore. You must never yell at me again. And he said, what? I said, don't yell at me anymore. And he said, I yell at everybody. I said, I know you do, but you can't yell at me. And I don't know where this came from, but now that I think of it, it makes a lot of sense. He said, why can't I yell at you? I said, because you can't get to the end of the pool first. And he said, I can't what? I said, they'll say, swimmer, take your mark, and we'll get there, and I'll be on one, and you'll be on the other, and the gun will go off, and we will swim, and I'll get down to the end of the pool first, and you'll go to the bottom of the pool, because you can't swim. He said, I have never felt it was important to swim. I said, I know. You did this very well. You're running the studio beautifully, but you can't get to the end of the pool first, so you can't yell at me anymore. And he said, okay.
When we talk about Hollywood today, we always think of all the scandals. Presumably there were just as many scandals then, but they got covered up a bit more. What about things like the casting couch? Was that very much alive?
Never for me.
No.
You know why? You know why never for me, Ross?
Yeah.
By the time I got the body makeup off and the Vaseline out of my hair, everybody had gone home. If there was anybody on the make for me, they were in their car and out of there. And I drove home alone.
Oh. Have you enjoyed being Esther Williams?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had a wonderful time being Esther Williams.
How do you want people to remember you then? As the girl there, or as you are now?
The woman now.
Yeah.
This woman, this is, I'm crazy about this girl because she did have it in her mind to be a winner. It's as if she's my younger sister.
After over 25 films, 3 children, and a third marriage to actor Fernando Lamas, Esther retired from the movies in the 1960s. In the 1980s, she launched the Esther Williams swimwear collection, inspired by the costumes that she wore throughout her movie career. Of course, my final question had to be the one that everyone asks. Esther, do you still swim?
I was at a party at Burt Reynolds, and Fred Astaire was there. Fred was getting on in years, and he didn't like to talk to people too much, but I figured I was going to get the last sentence out of him. And I said, Fred, do people ask you if you still dance? He said, all the time. And I said, what do you tell them? He said, well, I have to tell them no. I said, because this is the second question, will you dance with me? He said, you got it. And I said, well, I know what to do then. They say to me, do you still swim? I say, yes, I do. And they say, will you swim with me? I say, flood the room.
What a wonderful woman. I have to tell you, when I said to her that I was thinking about moving to Los Angeles, but my mum was a bit worried about it, she said, don't worry, Ross, I'll adopt you. And she's written a note to my mum adopting me in Los Angeles. What a lovely lady, Esther Williams. And she's inspired us to bring you today's Showbiz Quiz. It's not for high diving, and if I were being honest, a team of synchronized swimmers might find their style just a little bit cramped. But the lucky winner of today's competition will receive this wonderful swimming pool.